Okay, here we go. We're recording them. So it's does it look like I'm recording? Yep, it is recording. So we typically do a Supercharge Your Gym course once every month or every other month in the Marketing Academy, Gymnastics Marketing Academy. I highly recommend any of you that aren't in it to join it. It's not selling you anything. It is purely helping you understand the best ways to market your gym. Just to let you all know that those of you who don't really know us, we are a marketing agency. We've worked with gymnastics for about 3.5 years, 4 years. Prior to that, and still currently, we do a lot of work with e-commerce. As you could imagine, e-commerce is going crazy right now. Our e-commerce clients, I tell you, you all wish you had an e-commerce something right now, because they're doing orders of magnitude more business right now than ever before. Their only problem is they keep running out of stock. So the reason why I tell you that is e-commerce is a much more difficult beast when it comes to marketing and getting results. And what it has allowed us to do is learn by the toughest methods on how to get results for you guys. So we've actually got it down to an art where we can get you the results that you're looking for, and you can get the results that you're looking for. And we're going to share everything that we do. We operate on this basis as a company. We share everything. There's no part of the secret sauce that we don't share. We're not going to be like Colonel Sanders and give you some of the secret recipe and miss out one magic ingredient so your recipe isn't so good. We're going to give you everything. And that means if you're a bit of a DIYer, do it yourself, DIYer, you'll be able to do some really good work in promoting your gym. If you can't do it, if it's a struggle, don't worry. There's things that we're going to do to try and help you, right? So my team will actually do it for you, and we will help you do it. But we're not going to hold back anything. Everything we do, we're going to share with you. Also, if you want some step-by-step how-tos and ongoing help, I highly recommend that you join the Facebook Marketing Academy, which is an actual course made up of about 75 different videos and trainings on how to do everything we're going to talk about line by line. Right now, it is open as just a donation. So if you don't have the money, you can join it for free. If you have some money, feel free to donate to us. It helps me keep my lights on and keep my staff employed. Now, we've got a few people in here who are going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're going to do a Q&A at the end of this. So feel free to ask us as many questions at the end of this as you wish. And we've got Russell Masters and Ella Colom is going to be monitoring the chat if you have any questions or anything. So they might be able to actually answer something quickly in chat if you have anything thrown out there. I'm going to wait, and Kimberly Ransom, who's in here, is going to wait until the end to actually go through questions. So just to give you, like some of you heard me give a little summary as to how this is going to work. Today is all about mindset, organization, and understanding what's possible, right? So today is a little bit of a shorter, less heavy duty training. Tomorrow is all about messaging and branding, making sure that you understand how to get the most out of the platforms, how to make sure your platform's set up correctly. Because if it's not, the platforms, will punish you for it, right? So they want you to operate the way they want you to operate. And if you do, they reward you. We're going to help go through that. We're also going to share with you the data and the information that we have on what messages work best for mothers. Because mothers are 95% of our customer base that we want to impress. We'll be sharing with you tomorrow the messages that typically work for mums and how to put them together. And don't worry, it's common sense and it's stuff you guys probably would enjoy doing. So it's kind of a good news thing tomorrow. On Thursday, Russell Masters, who's in the group, who's my partner, and he is basically the algorithm wizard, is going to share with you how the Facebook algorithm works and how to get the most out of it from the point of view of laser targeting the people that you need to reach. You don't need to reach 24-year-old boys that don't have kids that just want to go out drinking every Saturday. You want to reach mums or children who want to give the most to their kids. So we're going to actually share with you how that algorithm works and how you can go about putting together audiences so you can laser target those people with that message that we learned about the day before. And then finally on Friday, so wrap up of once you've built up this out and once you're getting this interest in, the best method that we've seen based on the 70 odd gyms that we work with on how they convert interest into business, right? Using technology and terms that are relevant to the audience that you're going after, right? And if you think about your audience is basically millennials and Generation Zs. The oldest millennial is 38 years old now, right? There's now Generation Zs that are 24, I think is Generation Z. So there's starting to be Generation Zs with children. So it's important that we actually behave in a way that they want us to behave, because many of you might have kids that are millennials and Generation Zs. They want to behave the way they want to. They're not going to conform to us. We need to conform to them. We're going to kind of like go through that a little bit. So first up, let's share my screen. I think that's all my preamble was. I know we're already 7 minutes in. So let's share my screen. Here, there we go. Boop. There we go. Okay. So here we go. So Kimberly, are you in there? Yell out, unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me?
All right, Kim. I will hand over to you as soon as I go through this first little bit here. So
sure.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure that you were.
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. All right. So, Kimberly, can you still see my screen? Kim?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm muting and unmuting.
Can you see my screen?
I sure can. Yeah.
So what we'll cover during this course, I kind of went over it a little bit. Today we're going to be covering mindset and goals. Just so you know, we're going to be sharing with you this slide. We'll also be sharing with you a handout PDF on how it all works. So there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to be sending out to you through your email and making sure that you've got as much information as possible to make sure that you have the best result possible. Tomorrow we're going to be doing, as I said, brand and messaging. On Thursday, we're going to be doing targeting and audience. And on Friday, we're going to be going over converting your inquiries into members. Remember, all of the stuff that we're going over is data-driven. This isn't my opinion. We've formed our decisions on what we're teaching you based on what the data has told us works best. Now, you'll hear a lot of talk about Facebook in the next few days. The only reason why we talk so much about Facebook is that it works the best. If Facebook didn't work well, we would use whatever the thing is that works the best. Facebook is the best way. And when we say Facebook, it's Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and the audience network. Facebook owns all of those. And when you're advertising and working with Facebook, you have the option to work through all of them. And we absolutely recommend that you work through all of those, because there's about 180 million users in the United States alone. And in Australia, I think New Zealand and Canada, the percentage to population is even higher than the United States. And it is teeming with mums and decision makers that are likely to make a decision to do business with you. Okay, that's the large majority, I would say, of the people that use those platforms. So we're not doing this because I own stock in Facebook. In fact, I don't. We're doing this because it simply works. So what we're going to cover today, mindset and goals. We're going to have Kimberly Ransom is going to speak with us for about 30 to 40 minutes about what she has, about business operations and making sure you're getting the most out of your business and being as profitable as possible. We're going to talk about what things you need to consider right now. One of the biggest obstacles that are in your way at the moment. You might be surprised to know what that likely is, because there's a million obstacles, but really there is one that we need to maybe talk about and get a grip of. And how to calculate you know, what your membership goals are with this new situation that we have and where we're at, right? And, you know, the funny thing is, from the research and what we've been looking at, we don't think that calculation would be that different. There might be just some operational ways of operating with that membership that will be different. So up front, we have Kimberly Ransom. Kimberly, do you want to take over from here?
I sure will. Thank you, Andy. Okay, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this webinar today. Mindset is actually my favorite topic to cover, and I don't often get the opportunity to talk about mindset. So I appreciate this. Thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
So who I am, my name is Kimberly Ransom. I live in Pennsylvania. I am a gym business coach. I have been involved in gymnastics since I was 10. So I've been an athlete, competitive athlete, a rec athlete. I've been a coach, competitive coach, rec coach, preschool coach, all the coaches. I've owned 2 gyms, and I've made all of the mistakes. And I've subsequently course corrected and had some pretty good success. So what I found is that I really love working in the back end of operations. So my specialty is working with gym owners who are small, mom and pops, new, maybe legacy gyms that need to be refreshed and updated with the times, people who feel tangled, people who don't know where to start, who have some glaring issue in their business that just don't understand why it's happening or how to fix it. So I attack business untangling through a 5-pillar approach that I use, but all of that starts with mindset. So Andy and I have that in common. He appreciates mindset, and I believe that having the correct mindset is like conditioning for business. We condition our kids, right, for gymnastics. We condition our minds for business. So what I do, I come into your business and I help you untangle all the messes. So the thing that we really focus on is having a mission-based mindset. A mission-based mindset relates to business and marketing because we really focus on where the locus of control is, okay? So especially right now, because we're going through this weird time where we feel like maybe there are outside sources that are putting pressure on our business. You know, we have this pandemic that's happening. We feel like maybe the government has the locus of control, or we feel like a bank has the locus of control. Whatever it is that you're feeling pressure from, we need to take a step back and revert back to our mission-based mindset because it reminds us that we still have control of our business. Andy, you want to pop to the next slide?
Sorry, and that's Kimberly's website, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, KimberlyRansom.com. Try and keep it easy there. Right. So when we're focusing on a mission-based mindset, we are affixing ourselves to the reason we started our gym. We are affixing ourselves to the values and the passion and the heart that we had when we started this program, right? So maybe you're a gym owner, maybe you've labeled yourself as a gym owner, but that's not your mission, right? So your mission is always going to be there, whether or not you have a competitive program, a rec program, a toddler program, whatever it is, okay? So I'm not sure what your mission is. I'm guessing most people, it has something to do with furthering the sport. It has something to do with furthering, making young adults employable. It has something to do with the effect that gymnastics and sports can have on the trajectory of a young person's life. Something that has a greater good, right? Okay, you still have that right now. You still have that. We have a couple crazy variables to work through, maybe, but for the most part, we all still have the same mission that we had when we started. Okay, so you still have a locus of control in this situation. And I am hoping that when you wake up every day, maybe you start your day with prayer, if that's your thing. Maybe you start your day with exercise. You start your day with healthy nutrition. But you should also be starting your day with mindset work, okay? Andy, you are speeding right through these slides. Slow down, you're rushing me.
All right.
So when we do our mindset work in the morning or in the afternoon, whenever your Zen time is, right? Whenever your recalibration time is, we want to make sure that we're focusing on what we can control and what we can do right now. All right. So what are some things that we can do that are within our mission and that we can control, right? Well, one of the easiest, most logical things is to invest in yourself. There are so many great opportunities right now for you to collaborate with all these industry professionals that are giving out free information, so many webinars, so many plans and people that you can get involved with, right? So investing in yourself could be time, doesn't have to be money. It can be your resources, it can be your staff. You know, there's a plethora of ways that you can figure out how to invest in yourself. One of the timeless kind of classic things that we can do when we invest in ourselves is to think about our education, right? So you have the free resources. There we go, self-education. So I like to call this, you know, the fundamentals of self-education, right? It's kind of like the little black dress. And I'm sorry, guys, if you don't wear little black dresses. Maybe it's your blazer, I don't know. But education, and especially business education, is a timeless classic that will never be outdated. It will never get old, and it is always needed, okay? Some of us have started gyms without a business education, and that's okay. It's never too late to learn, right? And maybe you found yourself in a situation where you have started and you've just been winging it. And you found yourself in an uncomfortable spot, maybe with money or bills or taxes or operations systems, whatever it is, right? You can always come back and seek out education. And this is a great time to do that. This is a fantastic time to do that. Can you give me a click, Andy? There we go. Okay. Another great reason, you know, another reason to invest in your education, whether it's through time or money or both right now, is that you need to be thinking about priming your business operations like a well-oiled machine before you invest in people like Andy or his creatively disruptive marketing services, right? These are fantastic pieces of the puzzle that you need to have. But if you don't take a step back first and think about priming your business to be a well-oiled, lean, mean profit machine, you know, all of these people that come to you might be creating a problem instead of helping you, okay? So don't give me a click yet, Andy. So what that means is, let's look at your rotation sheets. Let's look at your staffing. Let's look at your cash management. Because sometimes you get so much cash that comes at you through the door because you've been investing with other people, right? And services and pieces of the puzzle that you do need. But when you get that onslaught of people, we're not quite sure how to handle it and what to do, right? So sometimes you need to take a step back and invest in a little bit of education to kind of get yourself to a point where you know that you are getting all of the profit out of each customer possible before you add on some more, okay? So that's what we mean when we say a lean, mean profit machine. Give me a click, Andy. There we go. So when we look at efficiency of clients you already have, again, we want to make sure that we've already pulled all the triggers that we can. We want to make sure that we've pulled all those revenue levers to kind of be getting the most out of your current work, because it takes a lot of time and money to get new clients to come in the door, right? So we want to be investing in our relationships with those current clients that you might already have to make sure that we're getting the most out of that relationship and out of that work that you've already put in, okay? So go ahead and give me another click. There we go. So all in all, when we invest in ourselves, we invest in relationships with other people, right? We invest in relationships with our customers. We are readying ourselves to take on more new clients. So when we look back at our mission-based mindset, okay, 2 easy things that we can do to keep ourselves moving forward, taking those baby steps in this really uncertain time, is to make sure that we're always coming back to that mission-based mindset, okay? And those 2 things that you can tackle are investing in yourself and investing in relationships. There are 1,000,001 ways that you can do both of those things without spending a dime, right? So when you find yourself in a situation that you're feeling a little anxious and you're not sure where to go, you don't know how to adjust your mindset, right? You don't know how to prime yourself for your business, right? Because we said mindset is like conditioning of business, okay? And when we're doing our conditioning work, we're making sure that we're always taking ourselves back to that locus of control, which is you. And you're running down different ways to invest in yourself and invest in relationships. And I'm willing to bet that if you have a gym, you have already invested in yourself, invested in relationships, and you already have ideas of your own to kickstart this, right? So people like Andy and people like myself, we do this all day. This is our job. Our job is to figure out how to prime your business to be most efficient operationally and systematically. And Andy's job is to make sure that he's getting you more new feet in the door so that you can take all of that new revenue and milk the most out of those relationships and the most out of those customers, right? So investing in yourself and investing in relationships, they go hand in hand. Give me another click. There we go. Okay. So when we're thinking about the entrepreneurial journey, you know, I want to, speaking in general about this time of life and kind of what we're going through right now, when we think about the paradigm of business, you know, we go from an employee, which could be coaching in a gym, to an independent contractor, to a business owner, which is where some of us are right now with owning a gym, to then being an entrepreneur, okay? And this might be an uncomfortable time for some of us because maybe we were in that gym owner, business owner level prior and didn't realize that we weren't being forced to act as true entrepreneurs yet. And with a 2-day notice, a 3-day notice, with the lack of notice that we all got with this pandemic, it forced us all immediately to jump straight to that entrepreneurial phase, okay? For some of us, it was easier than others, right? We picked up that digital platform and got some new ideas and looked at it as an opportunity to go down other revenue streams and explore other things, right? As we think about our mission-based mindset. Maybe there were other things that we wanted to try that related to our gym. Okay, this was a great time for that. Other people were totally fine doing what they were doing, coaching, managing staff, doing all the things that it takes to run a gym. And this was not welcome. This was jarring. I get that. So now that we are a couple weeks out and we've had a chance to sit with it, I hope that when you look at this equation, you can maybe wrap your head a little bit around how we can lean into this comfortably and become more of an entrepreneur instead of just a gym owner, right? Instead of just a business owner. And I think that when we wrap our head around the mission that we started our gym with and what control we still have, it makes it a really easy decision to continue to invest in ourselves and continue to reach out and connect with those customers because that's what they want right now. And it doesn't take money for that, right? Okay. So when we've knocked off those 2 things, we've invested in ourselves, we've invested in those relationships, we're going to be reaching out to people like Andy and other companies that can help us take that a step further. So I'm going to turn it back over to Andy. I hope that I've been able to come in and lead the stretches, if you will, lead the conditioning for the day and kind of gotten your mind a little bit looser. So you all can be thinking about how the content Andy's going to teach you today is going to relate back to that mission-based mindset that you're going to have right now.
So guys, and just so you know, Kimberly is going to be involved in the Gymnastics Marketing Group, and she's there to answer any questions if you ever have them. You can just pop into the Gymnastics Marketing Group and post a question, tag Kimberly. She's happy to help. She's going to also be doing some spot training and posting of thoughts and so forth. So there's an ongoing resource there. Creatively Disruptive, when we started into the situation that we all find ourselves, decided that we're going to try to keep our doors open with our e-commerce. We understood that significantly large part of our business was going to be majorly affected, which is you guys. And we decided that our mindset was going to change from profit centers to as much help as we humanly can give, because we can't look at gyms as a profit line right now when they're desperately just trying to stay open. So we actually had a major mind shift ourselves to what can we do to help you guys, because it doesn't help us if you guys close down. It doesn't help us if you're in tremendous trouble, and it doesn't help us if you can't get through this and start heading in the right direction. So our mindset has totally changed from how do we make money out of the gymnastics industry, how do we become a profitable business, to how do we help the gymnastics industry get through this and give them everything we've got. It was a bit of a mind shift change. We had to readjust some things internally. But ultimately we were able to do that, and I think we're doing the right thing. It feels very good what we're doing financially. As you guys feel, there is stresses, but we feel that we're in the right place, doing the right thing, helping the right people. And our goals and mindset changed remarkably, if that's a word. I think you guys know what I'm trying to say, based on what happened to us. And I think it's really important for us to be thinking about that. What used to work, if I'm honest with you, what used to work, 7 years ago didn't work a year ago, right? Many gyms operate how they did when I had a gym. We owned a gym for 12 years, and most of our business was derived through recitals, shows, doing things at local parks and fairs and so forth, and putting out flyers and everything. We tried some radio, we tried some some different advertising mediums, and it was just quite a struggle to get people in. And it was kind of similar to what you guys are doing all the time, right? Half the time, the majority of the people that joined was word of mouth. So you really had to operate a really good business if you wanted to actually grow in any sense. Fast forward, 8 years since we owned a gym, and things are very different. You have a lot more control, and you have a lot of options. The good news out of this bad news is that many companies are now realizing that being online is important. The reality is millennials and Generation Zs are online. If you're not online, you're not in front of them. If you're not in front of them, they don't know you exist. If your clients don't know you exist, you literally don't exist. So we need to be changing our mindset. Gyms like my gym would invest a lot of money into our coaches. All of our highest paid people were our coaches. We didn't invest a whole bunch of money in our front desk, and we didn't invest a whole bunch of money into marketing, to be honest. We didn't do it. I was the marketing guy, right? And I was really a television guy. So I pulled some strings and got some cheap television ads, which most of you probably don't have that luxury. But the reality is, what we need, every gym, we need to invest a little bit more in our front desk. We need to invest a little bit more into our business operations. And what I would suggest is that you absolutely invest in having somebody on your team, either a contractor like Creatively Disruptive or my organization, or somebody actually literally on your team who thoroughly understands this and can do this. It's just as important to make sure that there's kids joining classes as it is to have somebody who can coach those classes. Because if you have a really good coach and you're paying them $35 an hour, it's not very helpful if there's 2 kids in the class, right? Now, obviously, we've got some changes that are coming up, and there might be some reduction in classes. It means that every class needs to be full. You can't have empty classes, because you might, in your local area, only be allowed to have 6 kids in a class for social distancing and management and so forth. So we've got to be thinking about our business as a whole. So that's my little diatribe on mindset and goals and how we've got to change the way we think about things. And those that change are going to do well, ultimately, because this is a situation that this might be a 12-month difficult situation, right? This isn't a forever situation. So we need to get through this, like maybe next 12 months or so. So first up, this is me, former gym owner, media pro, TV mainly, and parent and husband of a gymnastics expert. My wife is the gymnastics expert. We've been marketing gymnastics in gyms since 2015. We've been working directly with over 60 gyms. I think it's closer to 70 at the moment. Many of them are paused right now, but we're still working with many of them. And we're supporting over 2,000 gymnastics gyms and managers through the Gymnastics Marketing Group. Again, if you're not in the Gymnastics Marketing Group, please join it because there's lots of good free information in there. Everything we know, we share in there. And I've been speaking in some congresses. So some of you might have met me or seen me blabbering along up on a stage and at USAG congresses and GAT. I think the last one was Region 5. I was going to be at Nationals, but Nationals didn't happen this year, unfortunately. So things to consider right now. I think it's really important to go through this laundry list. So first of all, what is your state outlining as far as reopening requirements, right? It's really, really important that you guys figure that out. I am not going to give you my opinion on what you should be doing. This is something that is very localized. In fact, I was reading a report that in Utah, the governor in Utah had been saying that gyms can open. Apparently the mayor of the city said that gyms could be opening, but then the health department said that they couldn't open. So there's all sorts of different things going on out there. It's impossible for somebody who's dealing with the nation, with national stuff, to actually help guide you from a local reopening. You need to become an expert on local reopening requirements so you can open the correct way. And most importantly, open in a way that's really, really safe and thoroughly understand what those requirements are. Because what we want to do is we want to share those requirements and show parents how we're adhering to those requirements so we can fill them with confidence. Now, there's two types of parents right now in the community. There's those that are very fearful, and there's those that just want to get rid of their kids, right? There's those that want to strangle their kids, and there's those that are very scared as to what's going on. In fact, probably everybody wants to strangle their kids to a degree, but we need to be thinking about the mindset of the parents, right? So, I think parents are chomping at the bit to actually have an opportunity to send their kids to you, not all. And it's really important to understand that really you need to be thinking about your community as a whole and not just the parents that you're talking about, right? That you deal with day to day, not just the parents that you're working with. I think what Kimberly said earlier is really, really important. You need to make sure you're maximizing the parents that you have. One of the things that you need to figure out is how many of your parents do you actually still have? Because that number is going to be changed. If you had 1,000 kids or 500 kids or 200 kids, you might find in reality you have 150, 300 or 700, 300, maybe even 50% of them, maybe even half of them might be going, you know what? I'm not going to go to gym for a while. I'm not going to be the first one on the bandwagon. I'm going to be the last one on the bandwagon when I know the bandwagon is going in the right direction. So we're going to lose parents. You might have lost them forever, okay? It's a sad truth of what's going on. Many of you can't afford to lose many, many parents, right? And a lot of it is to do with the fact that we haven't done a great job of getting out into the community typically, right? And I know some of the power hitters, and there's some of them in this meeting right now, in this business. They think everybody knows that their business exists in their community. They'd probably, if they really went out and spoke to every single parent, I bet you there's a massive percentage that don't even know that the gym exists, right? I owned a gym in a small mountain community for 10 years. And there was, to the last year that we owned the gym, there was parents that would come in that had been there for 15 years who would come in and say, I didn't even know you guys existed. That's so cool, right? That's a failing on our part. That was a failing on my part as a gym owner and marketer at that time. That was a failing. And that was because we were doing the old stuff, right? Unless that parent was going to the shows that we went to, unless that parent got the flyer that came through from their kid from the school flyer handout, unless the parent listened to the few months a year that I could afford to do TV advertising, all of that good stuff, I would miss them, right? And quite frankly, nowadays, if I did the same things, I would absolutely miss them, because the mums are actually not actually watching TV. They're not really looking for flyers, right? They're not really doing all of these things that once they were doing, even 8 years ago. They're doing different things, right? So we need to be thinking about how that we're dealing with a different mindset of parents and a different community, the whole community, not just the parents that we're talking with. We need to find out who those parents are that we're dealing with day to day, who are our currently signed up parents and part of our gym. But we also need to be thinking about what's the mindset of the community, because you might find, as I said, half of your parents have left. But let's say you're in a community where there's 15,000 parents with kids that are your age that could come to your business. A huge amount of those parents are going to want to have their kids involved with something, right? But what they're going to want to know is, what are the requirements for my kids to be safe? And you want to be sharing that. So be prepared to be very flexible. Be prepared to listen to the community, listen to the parents, get involved with the community groups, right? I know in the town that we're in right now, that we live in, Surprise, Arizona, there's a couple of really good community groups with thousands of people in. People are sharing thoughts and ideas and everything all the time. Start using that to poll and get a bit of a sense and an idea about what's happening in your community. Become a little bit of a community leader. You guys are leaders. You're leading staff. Some of your staffs are quite large. Be a community leader. Be known. Don't preach or try to tell everybody how to live their lives, but be a part of it and understand what your community wants and what the parents are saying. And more importantly, what are parents that are not working with you saying and thinking? And be prepared to be flexible. You might need to change some things up to actually fit to what the new needs are, right? Be flexible. We're always asking our kids to be flexible. We're literally physically flexible. But if you think about, when kids are standing on a beam in a competition and something goes wrong, what we want to train our kids to be able to handle adversity and be flexible and make changes and get through it the best they can. We need to be living by those standards as well. So how can we leverage your virtual classes? Many of you have virtual classes, some of you don't. You all probably should be considering some form of virtual class as a way to reach and engage your community in new and ongoing ways. I truly believe that the virtual class system is something that's here to stay. And it's something that as gym owners, we should use as one, both a way to reach out to our community and stay engaged, but also potentially have a different profit center, right? But I see it as a massive and very powerful way for you to stay engaged with the community, so everybody in your community knows about your business. I mean, think about how amazing your gym is. I mean, you guys do a wonderful job. You guys live and breathe. Your business is helping kids be all they can be. I mean, I don't know what's better than that, if I'm honest. If everybody in your community knew what a wonderful environment you've put together, how you help kids, you'll never have to worry about enrollment. Enrollment will be a thing of the past. What it will be about is, how do I make the program as good as possible? How do I keep improving it? How do I get better equipment? How do I have the best coaches? You'll never have to worry about where is my next parent coming from. If you have a virtual class and you build it out, hopefully you might be able to build it out to a point where, if there's close downs or something happening, that you've got some way to stay connected and stay engaged with your community, right? And many of you, we've got a number of clients that are actually making some profit. I wouldn't say anybody's really making profit, making revenue. There's revenue being generated from virtual classes. We're not going to go deeply into virtual classes. If you want to learn, if you're not doing a virtual class and you want to do a virtual class, there's multiple platforms out there. I highly recommend, My Gym is Online as a virtual class tool. They've got a really cool platform that you can use. I also highly recommend you go to the Gymnastics Marketing Guru. I keep saying that, but you really should. And potentially even join the Gymnastics Marketing Academy, which is a donation entry. And in those two places, you can actually learn to build your own one as well if you don't want to spend any money on your virtual class. There's no reason to not have a virtual class. And I think you really should be thinking about it. One of the reasons, one of the reasons why we need to be thinking about engagement is we need to understand right now, what does our new enrollment numbers look like, right? So what are you doing to literally engage with your current enrollment? What are you doing to make sure you understand what your current parents, and some of them are probably paying. I'm hearing wonderful stories of some parents are saying, until this is over, I'm still paying you. I want to support you. Many parents probably have dropped out, but all of you probably have some story that you could share where there's been parents that are super, super supportive and are trying to keep you guys going. Stay engaged with those parents. Talk to them. Spend time, maybe even calling them up and talking to them and getting them some ideas. If you've got way too many, send out, if you've got thousands of parents, send out surveys. There's some people are like, well, if I've got 1,000 kids and only 150 people respond to my survey, am I now letting those 150 decide how my gym operates? Well, no, you ultimately are the person that operates your gym. You're the final decision maker when it comes to this. But isn't it good to have maybe 150 opinions to help guide you in the right direction? I would highly recommend using something like SurveyMonkey. It's a really easy platform that they have free options, and you can send out surveys to your parents to get a feeling of kind of where they're at and how they feel about life, right? Are they planning on coming back? What kind of things are they looking for? How do they feel about, the current state of affairs, all that good stuff. Get in touch so you understand, where they're feeling and how they're feeling about things, and get a little bit of understanding of what your new enrollments look like. If you're normally at 1,000, maybe you're at 500 now. It's probably an important number to know. You probably don't want to know it, but it's an important number to know so you can make decisions, right? Because some of you, if you've gone from 1,000 and dropped to 500, you might not be making enough money to make it by with the way your gym's currently set up, and vice versa. If you're at 300 and you've dropped to 150, there might be some changes that you need to make with the structure of your business to actually make sure that you make it, right? What is your plan to get back to where you were or beyond? We need to have a plan, guys. We can't, I can't tell you how many gym owners I speak to. Many of them are clients. And I say to them, what's your goal? And they say, I don't know. I'd like to add, I'm at 250. It'd be nice to get to 350. That is not a goal, right? What I want to hear is we're at 252 and we want to get to 365, right? And not only do we want to get to 365, we would like to get to 365 by October 30th, 2021, right? So goals and plans to actually hit certain targets on certain days. It's amazing when you put a goal out there and then attach a date to it, how things suddenly start happening, right? It's really, really important. Let's have a look. So, are you your biggest obstacle, right? There are two critical parts to a business. There's product and service and sales and marketing. We live in a service industry, but we do sell products. I used to sell T-shirts and Leos, and we used to sell water bottles and all sorts of stuff. And we used to sell candy, which was probably bad, in a vending machine. We used to sell product, but 80 to 90% of our business was service, which was obviously coaching, right? If I'm honest with you, when we ran our gym, 90% of our efforts was in service and product. We had a nicely painted gym. It was really, really clean. My wife's very fastidious. She doesn't like dirt and dirtiness anywhere. So it was a very clean gym. We did our best to train and hire the best coaches we possibly could in a mountain town with not a lot of population. But we put 80 to 90% of our efforts into the product and service. And we probably put 10% of our time into sales and marketing. The reality is, any very healthy business, it's got to be 50-50. You could argue that there's some businesses that are extremely successful where they put more time into their sales and marketing. You can like there's companies that make things like Big Macs where you can't honestly say that the product is the greatest product in the world, yet they've dominated a space for years, right? And it's through sales and marketing, right? So the sales and marketing, think of it this way. I have I've got an orange, and it's a really tasty orange. If I want to sell it to somebody or give it to somebody, if all I do is make sure that the orange is really, really tasty and really, really available, but I don't tell anybody about it, no one knows that I've got an orange for sale, right? If you have the greatest coaches and the best facility and all the good stuff that's out there, but no one knows about it, you may as well not bother. You're wasting money and spending money. Now, I would never say that you're wasting money on having a great location with a great facility and great coaches, but you have to equally marry up the marketing and sales part of the business, right? And when I say marketing and sales, it's not a self-serving thing like you should be spending money with Creatively Disruptive on loads of Facebook advertising. No, where I want you to be thinking of investing money is think of your front desk. Do you have salespeople? Do you have customer service professionals? If I was to reopen my gym today, my highest paid person would probably be my front desk manager, probably my business manager in the business, right? I would make sure I have an amazing person that absolutely understands the journey of a customer, that understands what it takes to get a customer to join and to stay, right? Because longevity of parents and kids staying in the gym is critical. If you can keep kids, you can actually add less and still grow very quickly. If you're losing kids constantly, you need to add lots. You need to be very good at your sales and marketing. If you're not very good at your sales and marketing, you better keep them. You better not lose them, right? And a great front desk, well-run front desk that's very professional is going to go a long way to making sure that parents are going to stick around, right? And more importantly, when we have a parent come through the door that hasn't been with us before, hasn't worked with us before, that when they come through the door, they join, right? That's before you hire a company like ours to make sure there's loads of people coming through the door. And I'll tell you, there's time and time again that we've worked with clients, some that are no longer working with us, unfortunately, that didn't really have a good grip of that. And we would be bringing loads of people through the door, loads of people, engaging, loads of people talking about joining, and they would really struggle with converting them. And the answer oftentimes to us would be, well, it's because these people aren't the right people. These people who are wanting to join aren't the right people. And we would know for a fact that, well, I don't know, you're one of a few that are saying it's not the right people, but we're working with 60 other gyms that very same audience that Facebook is using is getting loads of people through the door. And the big difference is that the front desk is operating much more professionally, right? So it's really, really important that we make sure that we aren't the biggest obstacle, that we're not going, you know what, I'm going to keep hiring really great coaches and hopefully someone will figure it out that we've got some, right? We need to make sure there's a balance between product and service and marketing and sales. It has to be a balance. If it's all marketing and sales and there's all these promises and you're getting loads of people coming through the door and they come in and you've got actually poor products and services, kids are going to leave. It's just as bad as having, the balance has got to be even. You've got to have good marketing, solid marketing and sales plans. You've got to have very strong product and service plans, right? You guys, I would hazard to guess, are experts on the product and service side. There's very few of you that do poor jobs of that. I mean, America, this is coming from a foreigner, a legal immigrant, right? America is full of wonderful people that offer the most amazing products. And there's a reason why the USA is the best gymnastics team in the world. It's not because of high-level coaches or USA Gymnastics. It's because of the amazing, committed people that own gyms and give amazing experiences to little 3-year-olds that stick with it till they're 16 and then happen to turn out to be, Olympians, right? Millions of them. You guys are doing a wonderful job of that. Let's make sure that the business end of it is sound, okay? Are your goals and mindsets stuck in the past, right? It's time to fill your pool. Now, what does this mean? So my goals and mindsets back in the day was, man, how do I get more of our parents to tell more of their friends to bring their friends in? We would do bring a friend day. We would say, hey, we'll give you 2 months free tuition if you tell your friend to come in and they join. We do all sorts of different crazy stuff where we're trying to basically get our pool to grow our gym. And we were maybe at about 150 to 200, I think before the Great Recession, because we owned the gym before and after the Great Recession. Before the Great Recession, we were at about 290 kids, and it was quite profitable. It was a cool little gym. My wife made some decent money. When the bank started having problems and we all started having problems, we dropped to about 110 kids, and it was scary. For 3 or 4 years, my wife didn't earn any money, but it allowed us to keep the gym open, which was, we felt, and the community didn't really support us because we only had 110 kids in there, but we felt that it was an important thing for us to keep that gym open. And my wife worked basically for free for 3 years through the Great Recession. And one of the issues that when I think back on how we operated back then, is we were so fearful of doing anything new because we were so scared of everything that was going on that the only thing we thought of was, hey, the 110 parents that are already coming to our gym, how do we get them to bring their friends' kids in, right? How do we do that? That was the wrong thing back then. It's definitely the wrong thing right now, especially with the technology that you guys have, where it's so much easier, like light years easier, for you to extend your pool. So what does that mean? I want you guys to start thinking from a goal standpoint about square feet and about community. So let's say your community is 100,000 people. What are you doing to reach all of the 100,000 that have kids or are connected to kids? What are you doing? That is your pool. Your pool is your community. Your square footage is your limitations, right? Not, hey, I've got a 12,000 square foot gym. I'm in a 200,000 community, but man, I'd be happy to get 400 kids, right? Now, Kimberly will tell you, before you go to more than 400 kids, before you even go to 400 kids from say 300, make sure your business operations are sound. Make sure you're making the most of those 300 that are there. Once you're making the most of that and you've got your business operations sound and you want to grow, but make sure that your engine's running right before you try to run at high speeds, right? You don't want to be that Ferrari that has a slight missing sound and then the engine blows at 120 miles an hour. Not that any of you guys would drive at 120 miles an hour, but you know what I mean. So are your goals and mindsets stuck in the past? I can't tell you, like, as I said earlier, how many gyms say to me, hey, we're at 250. I'd love to be at 350 at some point. Well, let's actually look at what's possible and let's work towards those goals, because you might be very, very surprised. We're going to go through a little calculation so you can calculate your own numbers of where you potentially would go to once you've got your organization sorted. But what I want you to take away is stop thinking about your parents and their friends as the pool that you use to recruit more gymnasts. Start thinking about your community, that 10-mile radius. What's inside that? And everyone that has a kid or knows of a kid should know of you, right? In a very positive way. Here's an old marketing phrase that I've used all the time, right? And this is my goal with Creatively Disruptive, if I'm honest with you. I don't want to be the #1 marketing organization for gymnastics clubs in the United States. I want to be the only one. What does that mean? That means when you guys think about getting help, I want you to just think of us. If we're doing a good job, you just think of us. You think, you know what, I need some help. I'm gonna talk to the guys at Creatively Disruptive. Or, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do the marketing academy, or hey, I'm going to join the gymnastics marketing group. I want to be the only thought that you guys have when you need help to drive enrollment. What I want is for you guys to feel the same way. You might be in a town or a city where there's 5 or 6 gyms. You might be in a town or city where there's 5 or 6 gyms and there's tons of soccer teams and baseball teams and all sorts of different things that are out there, right? Work towards being the only thought in a parent's mind when they want to have their child get into a physical activity or a sport, right? The way technology is now, it's absolutely possible for you to be the first thought in a mother's mind who's thinking about getting their 3-year-old into something. There's no reason why you can't be the only thought. Not, hey, I'm the number one in town, but I'm the only one as far as that mum's concerned. She's thinking, I want to get little Jessie into something. Oh, let's take them down to Andy's gymnastics, right? Because hey, I've heard so many good things about it. I'm just going to go down there. And that means we can outcompete soccer and baseball and everything else, right? Because if I'm honest with you, everybody in the kids activity center realm is doing a very bad job of marketing themselves. They are. They just simply are. Some of you guys are probably doing an okay job. Most of you are very much underperforming when it comes to getting the amazing stories that you guys have every day out into the universe, right? And if we can get that out in a very consistent way, you can very quickly change from being the only thought in your target audience mind, not just number 1, right? Some of you might not even be number 5. Some of you might not even be thought of. We need to change that round. And the work we should always be doing is, how do we become the only thought in parents' mind when they want to get involved in some kind of physical activity, right? It's important. That's a mindset that might seem crazy to you, or it might seem very commonsensical to you, but it's a mindset that isn't happening a lot, and we need to change that. There's no reason why we can't. So here is how to calculate membership goals, and this is from data from years. This is data, this is just general data based on populations and what is possible through what we've seen over the last 5 years. And I have no reason to believe that this has changed because of the coronavirus. There's always a percentage of parents that are fearful. There's always a percentage of parents that aren't. And these percentages kind of work within those realms of difficulty. It does mean that we need to work a little bit harder and maybe change some things that we're doing, right? So first up, think about what your total population is. Do some research. Find out in a 10-mile radius, pretty much think about your local community that you feel is within a 10-mile radius. Might be your town, might be your neighborhood if you're in a big city. If you're in a very large city, you might want to bring it down to 5 miles. We worked with a couple of gyms on Manhattan, and we actually had to bring it down to like 2.5 miles because people just wouldn't travel more than 2.5 miles to go to a gym. But typically, what we see is, if you're in a city, I'll use my town that I live in. There's 150,000 people in Surprise, and pretty much anybody in Surprise would drive to anywhere in Surprise to go to gyms, to go to gymnastics, right? So think about what your local population is. When we use Facebook and we use their targeting, we often use zip codes or we will use a radius, and that radius is usually about 10 miles. We do work with some gyms and small communities, and we will raise that. I think one is as far as 50 miles in Texas, because I guess the parents are used to driving a long way to get their kids involved with activities. But typically, a rule of thumb is about 10-mile radius around your gym or your local community, whatever that is. So let's use some calculations here so we can help figure out kind of what we're looking at. So think about your population. So I'm going to use 100,000 because it's an easy number for me to figure out from a math standpoint. So let's pretend your population is 100,000. That 15% is the average number, percentage of population of kids between the age of 3 and 16, right? So in the United States, the majority of kids between the age of 3 or 2 to 16 is around about 15%. Some populations have 17, some, you know, a little bit lower, although 15 is very conservative. I think there's probably more populations that are slightly higher. Some high populations are up to about 17%. So if you think about that, if there's a population of 100,000 people and we go for 15% of them are children, that means there's 15,000 kids potentially in your community that could work with you. If you got 10,000 kids, if you got 10,000 population in a small market, and you have you know, 15% of them, so about 1,500 of them potentially are going to be children. 1,500 to 1,700 of them are going to be children, right? The good news about small populations that we've seen is small populations and small markets can get a much higher percentage of those kids coming to their organization. The larger the population, the more difficult it is to get a larger percentage. So just when we go through these numbers, it's important to understand that. So, you know, we got 15%, we got our child population of 15,000, times that by 10%. 10% is our number of what we see time and time and time and time again of our gyms that we work with that are doing a great job over time of reaching out and engaging with the community, that they're able to get 10% of that child population to actually engage and join their organization, right? So if you, again, using my 100,000 analysis here, we got 100,000, 15% of those are kids, means we got 15,000 kids. That means if we do a really good job of marketing ourselves to our local population, we should be able to get to about 1,500 kids enrollment, right? That might be surprising to some of you, but that's because of the power of Facebook right now. Imagine if you could put your message, and it's a compelling message. We're going to be talking about messaging and branding tomorrow. A compelling, exciting message that motivates and inspires parents to join your organization. 10%, you know, in my mind, is sometimes could be looked at as a low number, right? If you speak to the parents why, this is why they want to engage with you, that, you know, there's a high likelihood that you're going to get a very high number. When you're in a small, like I said, a small population, let's say it's 10,000, there's 1,500 kids, you might be able to get 15 to 20% of those kids coming in, right? So healthy membership goals. So when you're going through it, what I'd really like you guys to do during this period, like especially by tomorrow, maybe do it today sometime, find out what your local population is, times it by 15%, see what your local child population is, times that by 10%, and look at your membership goal. If you're a small market, maybe use 15 to 20% because you can actually get up to those numbers. But 10% for an average area is a healthy membership goal. Many of you might be under that by a long way. Some of you might be over it. Some of you that are over it right now might not be that right now because of membership losses. But this is where I want you guys thinking from a membership standpoint. Some things to remember. You are competing against all kids activity offerings. So you are competing. I mean, I know you guys know about this. I used to think about it all the time. You're competing against soccer. You're competing against baseball. You're competing against football and everything else that's out there, right? You're competing against basketball, volleyball, all those different sports, dance, cheer, you know, other gyms, swimming, blah, blah, blah. And some of you are swim schools, some of you are dance schools that are listening, but we're all competing. There's so much noise. Don't be just thinking about the other dance schools. Don't be just thinking about the other gyms. The reality is, if there's other gyms and there's other dance schools, that's you know, and everybody got their act together, that would be lots of good, solid advertising going out there saying, hey, get your kids into dance. Dance is a really, really great opportunity. Get your kids into gymnastics. Look at the great opportunity. It actually would inspire and excite the general population to be part of your sport. But the reality is you're competing against all kids activities, not just the other similar offerings that are out there. 2, most of them are doing a really poor job of promoting themselves. That means if you can do a really good job, you're going to go to the king of the pile really quickly, right? There's another thing that's really important for you to understand when it comes to online platforms. Tenure matters, right? So let's say I see, is it Jan? Jan's PC. Jan, I'm gonna point at you. Let's say Jan gets onto this and does a wonderful job. She's got her website going really well. She's got her Facebook running really well. Everything's running really well, about as good as you can do it. And then this startup, this troublemaker comes into town called Andy, and he wants to take over her, he wants to take over the neighborhood. He wants to, start his gym. The reality is, even with all of my know-how, even with my team, even with all of the advantages that I have, I'm not going to beat out Jan if Jan's done it before me and doing a really good job. I cannot beat her. I cannot overtake her if she's doing a really good job. If everything's equal, our messages are the same, our website's the same, we're doing the same marketing, we're doing everything, but Jan's been doing it for a year or two earlier than I am, Facebook and Google rewards Jan, because this is what happens. The way their algorithms are set up is they go, Jan's been doing it for 2 years longer than this guy called Andy. He's been doing it for 3 or 4 months. He might not be around much longer. Jan's been around for 2 years. We know she's much likely to be around for many more years. So we're going to reward her more. And it doesn't matter. We might be 5 years in. I've been doing business for 5 years. Jan's been doing for 7. Jan will always get a little bit more reward from the platform. So what does that tell you? That means start now before anybody else gets onto this. Right? And it's very difficult to be overtaken once you're doing a really good job. Your competitors will never be able to outcompete you using these methods. So it's really important for you to get very serious about it. Okay? So that's basically it. So what's next? We're going to be talking tomorrow about branding and messaging. On Thursday, we're going to be talking about the algorithm and audience laser targeting. And then on Friday, we're going to be talking about converting all of this interest that you guys are gathering into members, because we need to make sure we convert as many members as possible. So ways you can take action. So first up, I've been saying this over and over again, and we're kind of wrapping up because we're going to do some questions if you guys have any. Join the Gymnastics Marketing Group, please. It's not a place where we just market our business. This is where we help gyms grow and we answer any questions that you have. So please join it if you're not already there. Got the Gymnastics Marketing Academy, which is a whole course of 70 odd classes all about marketing your gymnastics business. And it's open for just a donation. If you don't have any money, don't donate any money, but please join it. Right? If you do have some money, please donate some money. Sorry, there's a little boy, a little 2-year-old is getting a bit excited about life. And then lastly, we actually have an offering that we're going to offer to you guys. If for those of you that technically find this difficult, because tomorrow is going to be technical, the day after is going to be technical, and the day after that's going to be a little bit technical as well. If you struggle through this and you're like, man, I just can't figure this out, this is just not for me, we're actually going to give you an offer to actually start it up. We're actually doing a startup, a reopen your gym campaign. It's a 1-month commitment and it's not really a commitment. It's a 1-month program where we will set up everything. We'll build out your audiences. We'll build out your ads. We'll set up everything. We'll hold your hand through it all. We'll show you how it all works. We'll put it all together and get things rolling. Now you need to be thinking when your gym's going to be opening. Don't start doing this when the gym opens, because you'll be a month. It'll take a month for things to start happening. When you start hearing that things are going to start opening, I think you really should be thinking about getting your...
Who owns the Grand Caymans?
Sorry?
Islands?
So, if you're looking to get your gym up and running quickly, and that's why you saw the fast, you need to start for a running start. Right? So let me just do this here. I'm just going to mute everybody just real quick. So we're going to offer a gym reopening campaign offer. It's like $500, and we'll basically
offshore
build everything for you. Okay. So with that, we're going to share the link to that if you have
takings and accounts and stuff.
Let's mute all again. Mute. There we go. Okay. So first of all, any questions? This is kind of a setup. The reality is the meat and potatoes tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. But any questions on this from a mindset standpoint? Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to have a look at the chat so I can see what's going on in here. Let's have a look.
Hey, Andy, I don't have a question for you, but
Yep.
as you were speaking, I was chomping at the bits to kind of back you up and add in some things. Can I add a couple more?
Go for it.
Okay. You had a slide a little bit back where you were talking about, oh gosh, I don't know, you were talking about surveys. And I really want to encourage people to actually send out a survey to their current families. I know there's been some talk online. It's been a little bit of a controversial topic about whether or not we should be surveying our parents, you know, with what they're going to do and how they feel right now. But the thing is, owning a gym and managing a gym is like a balance between an art and a science, right? So if we are constantly assuming we have all of the data and we know what everybody's thinking, I think we can get ourselves into a trap. And to take that a step further, I actually took on the task last week of trying to just take a stab at a national parent survey to get a vibe. And I know that's a huge undertaking, and I wouldn't have near the data pool that I should have, but I just wanted to see what would happen, right? So I split this into, if everybody could just mute themselves real quick, that would be great.
Zoom.
Andy, can you mute?
I got it. Oh,
so
I muted you too, sorry.
I got it, no worries. So I split it into 5 different regions, and we got a lot of really great data from the Northeast region. That was the region that had the most amount of parents. And I asked them things like, do you plan to go back as soon as your gym reopens? Do you plan to go back in phase 3 of your state's plan? Do you think you'll be back this summer? And kind of put on what they were thinking they would do. And then I asked them how open they would be to summer camps if they were offered, how open they would be to online summer camps. And then if they were in the group of people that didn't want to go back at all anytime soon, why was that? Was it financial hardship, social distancing, or other reasons? And I got some really surprising data that didn't match small gym data that I had seen. So the good news from what I read, and I'm just going to tell you about the Northeast region, was that it was not the people that didn't want to come back. And mind you, this was a very small pool of people. Over 75% of these people who were at a gym when they were shut down said that they planned on returning sometime either at first opening this summer or in phase 3. Those were the 3 questions. Okay, so that's good news, number 1. But of the people who said that they weren't planning on returning immediately, it wasn't due to financial hardship. So that what that told me was, wow, if I'm working with a gym or a client who is coming to me and telling me that they're gonna offer some coupons and some discounts, and how low can they take their prices just to get people to come in the door? Wrong move, guys, wrong move. And that happens a lot. I talk to a lot of people that, you know, their gut feeling is telling them that that's a good lead magnet. And I know that's wrong. And I know Andy knows that's wrong.
Yeah.
So
can I just jump in on that? When I see gyms discounting themselves, that is a hard cost of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to you, right? Most of the gyms that we work with now, and they've got their business operations going really, really well, their average tuition is going up. One of our gyms, when they first started working with us, was on average about 70. They're at 135 now, right? So what all you're doing is you're substituting one cost for another cost. And if you go down the discounting route, you're basically saying my advertising, which is not going to work that well, I'm going to invest tens of thousands a month into it, right? If you wanted to do, we do a full, you know, we do
149 people
we do
watching this.
of
Yeah.
let's have a look here, Doug.
What is it?
I'll mute you. We do a whole bunch of different things that we different levels of advertising work with different gyms. The most expensive, like if you want us to do Google, you want us to do design, you want us to do all sorts of different things, I think the most it costs to work with us, which is definitely not the average, most people are a lot more, if not more than half more, costs about $2,000 a month to work with us, which is less than a good part-time coach, right? But if you say let's say you've got 300 kids in your gym and you discount by 10% or $10 to get more kids in, that's costing you $3,000 a month, right? $36,000 a year, right? If you are so fearful of losing kids that you're going to discount, the reason for that is either you've got systematic issues that Kimberly likes to talk about and is very good at fixing, or you're not getting new people joining. And you need to fix that rather than do a donation, a discount. Because at some point, the discount will actually put you out of business. And that's the most costly form of advertising you can do. Sorry, Kim. Got into a rant. Gotta stop.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. And I mean, the last thing I'll add is that, well, two things. Number one is we need more data. So what I need, and the reason we have great data from the Northeast region is because that's my region, and everyone has sent it out to their families to use, right? So if there are any gym owners that would like to send out the survey, get in touch with me and I'll send you the links. And so you can help actually make this survey better so we can get a really great, just have a bigger data pool, right? Like that's what we need to make it better. Yeah. But in saying that also, so the great thing about doing a survey in your own gym and not necessarily my survey, you could do both, would be great, is it builds trust, right? So if you build out a survey and you say, hey parents, I really care about what you think and how you feel right now, and you're giving them a checklist of 15 to 20 different safety protocols that you're thinking that you might be able to institute, that's letting them feel heard. That's what they want. And nobody expects you to have the answers. No one here is a pandemic expert. Your parents don't expect you to be. And I know from reading the comments on my parent survey that they really just want to trust you. They want to trust that your gym is clean and that you're just taking the best steps that you can when you reopen. So actually giving them a chance to tell you that goes a long way in building trust right now. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to give you about the survey. So I could talk about that for a really long time, actually.
And we're gonna, and just so you know, everybody, we're gonna do a bunch of different topics, especially in the gymnastics marketing group, to help you. You've got a place to ask questions, right? You're not alone. I know when the Great Recession hit us, I felt so alone. I mean, many of you probably owned your gyms back in 2008, right? I was, how many of you felt really alone trying to figure out how to get through that, right? You're not alone anymore. There's 150 people sitting in this Zoom call right now, right? There's 2,000 that are in the gymnastics marketing group. There's 2,700 in the gymnastics owners group. You're not alone, right? So use these resources. And I said to you right at the beginning, Creatively Disruptive's mindset has changed with gymnastics. You guys were part of our business. You were a profit line. We looked at you guys as this, how do we make money and help gyms make money and the quid pro quo of doing business with businesses. We changed our mindset to, we've got to help these guys because so much of our business relies on your success that we had to take this opportunity to reinvest into our market, to reinvest into you. I highly recommend that you do it for yourselves, right? There's so much help being given to you. Go out and take it. Find the stuff that makes sense and resonates with you. Work with the organizations that are willing to step out and really help, right? Because there are really some great ones. There really are. So that's, if anyone has any questions, I'm seeing some questions coming in. If you want to get in touch, what I will do is I'll have Kimberly post some stuff about the surveys in the gymnastics marketing group. I keep saying that. It's an easy place for us to down to just drop information, right? I will also, post a link if you want us to build out your systems, right? And remember, it's just 1 month. We do it for you. We set it all up and then we hand it over to you. However, I don't want you to feel that you have to do this, and I don't want you to feel like you're being sold to right now, because we're going to give you every little bit of information to try and figure it out yourself. We're offering that because I know there's some of you that are like, oh, I don't want to figure this out. This is just one too many things. And maybe you've got $500. We've dropped it to, we've made it a $500 process because that will allow me to pay my team to actually do the work. It won't be me doing it, because you don't want me doing the work. You want my experts doing the work. So, we're giving you as many weapons to your arsenal as possible, right? What I would say for next steps, so we can wrap this up, because I don't really want it to go further than the next 9 minutes. So the next steps is definitely come to tomorrow's class. Tomorrow's class is really all about messaging and what we've seen from a data standpoint, how mums behave and react to the right kind of messaging, right? Because it's not going to be messaging like 10% off. We're not in the business of you guys marketing discounts, right? That does not work. People are not interested in that. I'm not going to bring my little 2-year-old that is my wife and I's treasure, right? I don't know what I would do if I didn't have him in my life, right? I'm not bringing him to you guys because you're giving me 10% off. I'm going to bring him to you guys because you guys are going to inspire me that if I take him there, he's going to be all he can be, right? I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how you can make sure the platforms are really solid so you can get the most out of them and make sure that message is really resonating. And then make sure you come to the training on Thursday, where we'll be talking about the algorithm and about the targeting. So you make sure that, Johnny down the road who drives the Mustang and, takes his girlfriend out to the movies and that's all he cares about every day is not getting your ads about preschool, right? He might need it if he's not careful, but, we don't want those guys who, or anybody that doesn't have a kid and has no interest in doing business with you. We don't want one of your pennies going to try to reach him. We want every penny coming towards my wife, right? We've got a little boy that we want to have involved with as many sports as possible. You guys should be in front of her, right? And we want to laser target. I don't want any wasted money, because you guys cannot afford a penny that goes in the wrong direction. So make sure you're on that one. Make sure you're on Friday too, which is all about converting that interest into business. But more so right now, when you go away, I want you to do that little exercise that I asked you to do, which is look at your local area, find out what kind of population base you have, do that 15% of it. So if you've got 100,000, you're going to have 15,000 kids, 10% of that 1,500. So you can start looking at, okay, where could I be? You might be at 700 thinking that's about the max. If it says 1,500 and you've got, 1,200 to 1,500, 15,000, sorry, 12,000 to 15,000 square feet, you could easily take on 1,500 kids. We've got one gym that has 8,000 square feet and 1,000 kids, right? So square footage is decent. Now, that same gym is going to have to change a lot of the way it's operating with the coronavirus, because that at certain times, those 1,000 kids is a jam-packed gym. She's going to have to change some stuff up. She's going to have to stretch classes out. Classes are going to have to start at a lot earlier during the day. The good news is most of the schools are closed, right? Most of our schools aren't going to be opening till maybe September. So at least you can spread those classes out. So while you've got 1,000 kids and you might have squeezed the majority through between like 2:30 and 7:30 at night, now we can start looking at maybe having classes at 10 in the morning, 12, 30, spread them out so the kids aren't all on top of each other, right? Start thinking about that, but think about your long-term goals too. I don't want you to be so short-sighted that you're just looking at tomorrow. It's so easy to do when it's so scary, but also think up to ourselves, you know what, where do I want to be in 2 years from now? 2 years from now, this coronavirus will be in our past, but let's actually work towards life-changing stuff, right? Some of you who have been doing this business for a very long time, that might have been doing it for 40 years or 30 years or whatever, you can have everything that you want. You can build this business to be profitable and to fund a good retirement. You don't have to work into your 80s and 90s. Those of you who are younger, you can build a business that can own the gym that you're at, that own the building that you're in, that can be a wonderful career move, right? We can do all these things. You guys, like, if you think about how parents are behaving right now with the schools that are closed, they desperately want to have their kids involved with things. Parents are really learning that homeschooling isn't fun, right? Having their kids around them all the time is not the answer. So long term, you guys are going to be in a wonderful position. What we need to do is position yourselves to be available so they know that you exist, so they come to you. So with that, I'm going to have a look. This looks like there's some more messages going up. I'll answer some questions. If anybody, I'm not going to bring anything else out. So if you want to go and you don't have any questions, feel free to leave. If you have some questions, stick around. You can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can type it into the side here. So, but thank you very much. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm going to stick around and answer questions if you have any. Okay. Thanks, guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope there was some goodness that you got out of that. So I've got lots of questions about the surveys, which I think is good. Thank you, Arena. See you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't be late for class. I've seen who's here. I'm going to do a roll call. I want to make sure you're all here. Any questions? No?
78.
Donna? Oh, sorry, Janet. Let's go, Janet, and then we'll go to Donna.
Yeah, Donna, go first. I was just saying the chat, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to see them all. They're flying by.
Sarah asked a question in the chat.
Sarah Mosley, what if your local population is a mixture of 3-ish different towns? Our gym is smack dab in the middle of a rural area, but has access to the towns via thoroughfare. Basically, Sarah, what I want you to think about is how, like, you know how far out people will drive to your gym. Whatever that is, that's your catchment area, right? The 10-mile radius is kind of like if you're in the suburban area of a major city, right? If you're in, say, Texas, and you're in the middle of a whole bunch of little towns, just draw a big radius around where you know parents will drive up, right? So it's going to be very I guess subjective to your knowledge, your local knowledge of your local area, right? So don't get caught into my little 10-mile radius thing. If you're in a smaller, more dispersed area, you know how far parents will drive. Adjust your radius to suit, and then work out your population from that. Donna, did you want to? I'll unmute you, Donna. Here we go. Unmute. Oh no, mute. Unmute. It's not unmuting you, Donna.
Okay.
There we go. Go for it.
Okay. Right before your seminar started, a friend of mine who owns a big gym in upstate New York, and I live in Wisconsin, we were college teammates, and she questioned me. She goes, what are you asking, or what are you telling your clients that are asking for refunds? And like, she has a monthly payment program. I have an 8-week payment program. So I have been telling parents that we're going to figure something out to start, we're going to start classes again once we get the okay, but also I've been telling them, if we need to do makeups, I'm also thinking too of keeping some virtual classes going. But what do you suggest? You have?
I mean, the way things are right now, and I know this is a really hard thing to say, but if somebody asks for a refund, I kind of feel that we kind of need to be thinking about giving them a refund. I definitely think we need to be giving them other options. The best way to avoid the refund question, if I'm honest with you, and this is what I have been harping on this a little bit in the group and in the owners group, is how you phrase it and present it. So when you guys started shutting down, or when things started happening, and if you haven't done it, you might want to think about it now, is you contact all your parents and you say, hey, look, we're going to be shut, but just because our location is shut doesn't mean our program's shut. Here's what we're going to be offering. We're going to be offering online classes. We're going to be offering makeups. We're going to be offering special camp prices. We're going to be giving for every parent that stays with us, we're going to be giving 2 kids night outs, a month away. until we reopen, as long as you keep doing business with us, right? As long as you keep engaged. And those of you that don't want to do that, please just let us know and we'll pause you until we reopen, right? So you're giving them the option to actually opt out rather than telling them that we're going to shut you down, right? Because there is a big difference, right? If I said to you, Donna, you have to opt out. You're already doing business with me. You have to tell me that you want to opt out if you want to opt out, rather than me coming to you and saying, I'm opting you out, right? And many gyms did that. And then they got into the trouble of refunds, right? Because they've gone to the parent and said, we're not doing anything. You paid, we're closing down. We're not doing anything, but we're pausing you. Many parents came back and said, well, can we have a refund for what we've got? Because they're not seeing any value. They're not seeing any future, not seeing any options. What I highly recommend is that you give them lots of options. You have the online training. You offer kids night outs. You offer future camps, whatever you can come up with to give them value. And then you let them know, hey, you opt out from us if you're not happy with this. Just let us know if you're not happy. We'll be happy to pause you. If you've done all of that and someone still needs a refund, unfortunately, the answer I would say is that you should give them, because I don't think there was, God, was it? I think it was a large gym. I don't know, Kimberly, if you've heard the story. There was a large gym, multi hundreds of millions, $200 billion large chain of gyms that was charging people and not refunding and saying, too bad, so sad. And it was a terrible PR nightmare for them at the beginning. And they ended up having to refund and do things, but they were like, we're going to keep charging, and we're not going to refund you. So we don't want to go down that route, because we do ultimately want these parents to come back. But I think the best way to avoid those refunds is to actually offer true value in exchange. And most parents, as you guys know, most parents love you guys. I mean, you're more than just a business. It's not like my hairdresser, who hasn't seen me obviously for a little while. It's not like, going to the grocery store where I'm just going to get something, or going to the gas station. You guys are a special part of these kids' lives and these parents' lives, right? I've seen a number of gyms posting what parents have said to them, and it's heart moving, right? It's magical stuff that is being said to you guys. I know one gym that they sent out that information about, here's some options. Our location staying open, our program staying open. We're going to be doing X, Y, Z. And a parent responded to them with, I'm going to pay you until you reopen, and on top of that, I'm giving you $500 because we love you so much. I don't know any other industry that gets that kind of reaction from people. I go to what is it called? I go to Lifetime Fitness. I probably need to go there a lot more. I usually go there to have, they have really nice food in their cafe, and I go to have a massage. I probably should go and have a workout. But, I don't, I go in there and they're always really nice. I'm not sending them $500 and saying I'm paying to the end. I was very quick to say to them, stop my payments. Because there's not a heart. You guys, your hearts are involved with this. So you got to protect that relationship. I think relationships was something that Kimberly was really heavy on. And I think that's true. You got to protect those relationships, but give value in exchange for continued payment. Does that make sense? I feel like I've just run off the rails a little bit, Donna. But in reality, the cold hard answer is, if somebody desperately wants a refund, you probably should give it. But give them lots of reasons not to.
My problem, like I have a small gym and it's under 100 kids. And like my friend who asked me, she has a lot larger gym, and she just got the paycheck thing from the government, but I don't have enough payroll for me to do that, to really get any money, and I still have to pay my rent. And so like we had just started we had 1 week of our—
Are you getting everybody asking for refunds, Donna?
No, I'm not. I've only had 2 people. It was 2 new people, but then I told them I was looking, we were going to restart, and they'd still be, and they haven't questioned it at all. But I know she had just asked me this question. She had a few people.
I guess to answer it, and I know you're in a difficult position, You've got
It's
to
like-
find value. So if you
Mhm.
can't give them a refund, you've got to give them value, and you've got to give them an explanation. And I would even
Yeah.
call them individually and tell them that your situation and say, this is what I'm prepared to do. Can you work with me? If it means you got to call 200 people, call 200 people. Do whatever it takes to keep your doors open, right?
I did have one parent that asked me, what can I do financially to help you? And it's like, I was surprised. It was one of my, I have a performance team. I'm non-competitive, and we go to nursing homes and perform at
Yeah.
minor baseball and stuff. So I was surprised when she said that to me. I was like, oh, so I'm doing some online fundraising right now, like with Tumble Track and with Champion Apparel, to try with my gym name on it. I have an apparel shop I set up with them. It's online to see if I can get some money from that. And also, like I said, Tumble Track has a program, and I'm looking into, other
great things. So in a nutshell, just to answer your question, if somebody really, really wants the refund, I would call them at least if you're really uncomfortable with giving refunds, and talk to them about your situation. Say, look, I just don't have any money right now, right? I wouldn't email. I wouldn't kind of like deal with it at 1,000 yards. I would actually get right in there and be a person, right? And talk to them. Because there are families that are struggling to feed themselves right now.
Yeah.
Right. So, whilst they might be sympathetic to you not being able to pay your rent on time, they're worried about feeding their kids. So we've got to be thoughtful, and at the very least be in touch. And you might find that if you talk to somebody, they go, oh, you know what? No worries. We can work on it or whatever. But at the very least, you need to be giving value. If you're not giving value, like future value or current value with the virtual classes, then you need to start. Otherwise, you're really asking for refunds to be asked, right? That would be my answer.
Thank you.
No worries. Join that group too. Join the group. I keep saying that because it's the easiest way for me to help you guys. Anybody else? I think we had some more people who wanted to ask some questions. Was it Kaylee? Did you want to ask something? Did I see your hand go up, or was it just grabbing your pen? Anybody else? I've got Shay. There might be a reason why they need to refund. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is there any other questions in here? Okay, any questions? Put your hand up. I know there's people just waiting around to see your questions. If you can send it in the message, I would love to see it. I've got Sarah Mosley. We're offering one-on-ones. Oh, Janet, do you want to say something?
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned a minute ago, instead of, I get the point of you've already got them in your, you already have them in your database, in your gym. If they call in and want to drop, or you make the rule that they have to call in or email in by a certain date or whatever to have to drop, is it better instead of dropping to let them freeze?
Pause them. Whoop. Did I freeze? Hello, everyone. Did I freeze?
Are you saying, is it better to freeze their account or pause their account? That way it's simple.
I would agree. I would say pausing is the terminology. We don't want to be talking about dropping. We don't want to be talking about ending relationships. I think pausing is the terminology that I would use, and it's really important for you guys to be thinking about language and terminology. It's a very powerful thing. Like if I said, Janet, I'm dropping you out of my program, that feels like we've broken up, right? Our relationship's ended, you've moved on. Whereas if I say, hey, we just need a pause right now, it means it definitely gives me the feeling that we're going to continue doing business later on. And language is really important. I would definitely be using the term pausing. We've got a huge number of our gyms that we work with are paused right now that are working with us. That means we're not charging them. We're actually doing a little bit of work to help them because it's important for us. Just because they aren't paying us, we're still trying to help them a little bit. And we have a tremendous amount of gyms that I'm going to be forever thankful to, who are still paying us money. right? I've got one gym that has built a tremendous amount of value in me because she literally said, you are our heartbeat. We're paying you. The only way we'll not pay you is if I can't pay my mortgage. That was that's the equivalent of the $500 being sent by a parent, as far as I'm concerned. That gym owner saw us as such an important part of their business that we're part of their heartbeat, even though they basically are southpaws because they don't want to run any ads or do anything, but they were still wanted to pay us. So, and you might find that some parents do that, Janet, is that they're like, you know what, we love you guys so much, such an important thing that's helped our daughter so much that we need to make sure you're still around. So using the right language is important. And you guys, I mean, you guys are changing kids' lives every day. And parents see that and understand that and love that, right? So how we talk to them is really, really, really important in using the right language. So yeah. Janet?
I wanted to add to that, you know, I just got finished with a big Zoom meeting that I really enjoyed with just my directors. But we've been doing tons of Zoom workouts and videos and live of that kind of stuff. And for a while, they were getting that as a service to keep them in and be connected and all that kind of stuff. But they had paid, say, for April. But they got credit on their account to do those makeups later. And if I don't want to keep this going forever, I want them to try to use those throughout the summer and have them not go into fall, because then we're continuing this bleed forever, although it might be more spread out, so not as drastic. But they, in essence, got all the free workouts and all the free Zooms and yada, 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 because I'm crediting their account. But I like the idea of, instead of all of a sudden in May, we said, we're not charging at all. We cannot come back. And if we can for a week or two in Austin, Texas, then we'll charge you for what we can do. So they have not charged at all, but we're still doing it daily, if not 2 workouts at least, or 3 for different things. And so basically I feel like if they could exchange, maybe not have to pay this month for workouts in this phase, but maybe exchange credits on their account of the workout classes for that. That's another option. Otherwise, we're not going to even charge at all until we're definitely back in the gym. And then they have the option of being there or us providing that service for them. But I do think it's very important, just in case all of a sudden we're pulled back out.
Yeah, I think my feeling is, and it's kind of like, we got a question here. I'm gonna read this from Lornie Aben, kind of in reference to what you just said, Janet. She said, if you don't discount, then how do you justify the difference between virtual classes and real gym practices? Blah blah blah. For example, real gymnastics is $142 for 8-week session, but we only are able to offer virtual classes right now. What would you charge for virtual classes without feeling you're giving away the program at a discounted rate? See, my thing is this: if you say this is what we're doing and this is how it's going to be, if you don't want to do it, opt out. You're giving them the chance to opt out. Now, if you are worried that loads of them are going to opt out because you're going to charge $142 for 8 weeks of virtual classes, then maybe reduce those, because you're going to have a lot less staff. If you're just doing virtual classes, you've probably got 2 or 3 staff that are helping you do the classes. But you're going to have a lot reduced staff and probably a lot reduced costs. So your costs aren't normal operating costs. They're going to be a smaller. So maybe you can reduce your costs to whatever keeps the lights on, right? But it's important to offer that to the parents on your terms, right? That you're saying, okay, this is what we're going to be doing based on, you know, what's happening. If you're happy to continue. If you're not happy, reach out to us and let us know. Don't blanket and make decisions for parents. Let them make a decision for themselves. But I would say, from a virtual standpoint, I'm seeing what I think is important is that you don't think of virtual classes like you think of regular classes. They're 2 different things, right? The beauty of virtual classes is, if I do a class, I can do a 2-minute class teaching someone how to do a handstand or a forward roll or whatever it is. And the kid can rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it and actually be engaged for an hour from a 2-minute instruction, right? My little boy will watch Cars the movie all day and watch it 20 times all day. Well, probably not, because it's a 2-hour movie. That would be 40 hours. But he could watch it from the day he wakes up to the day he goes to sleep. He will watch videos of himself jumping into the pool for an hour. He just pushes play over and over again. Kids do that, right? Kids will watch it, especially if they're learning it, right? Now, if you think of learning technique and learning skills, so you might have a forward roll class, and they can just watch it over and over and over again. What's more important is that you have a lot of classes coming out. So you might be thinking, Lonnie, that, they're paying for 8 weeks of classes, which means they're coming for one 1-hour class once a week. But what if you fill their day with a whole bunch of information? What if you fill their day with a whole bunch of resources? So each day, mom, who's struggling with homeschooling and all sorts of different things, can say, hey, you've got 2 hours of PE, and we're going to use, Janet's gymnastics to do that PE. So I'm going to put it on the big screen using YouTube or whatever system you've got, Zoom or whatever. I'm going to put it on the big screen so the kids can actually go through these 3 classes. I spoke with Diane Barron, and I don't know if Diane is on this, but I spoke with Diane Barron. She was asking, how should I do my classes? And my advice to her was to break it up into small 5-minute classes, and they can choose what they want to do. Do 20 5-minute classes opposed in lieu of, what would it be? In lieu of 3 1-hour classes. Does that make sense? If you do 3 1-hour classes, what ends up happening is there's a lot of walking between stations and a lot of downtime, which kids will get bored of. If you have very specific, sharp, exciting, impactful, here's something to do here. Let me show you how to do this very specific thing. You can actually end up putting out a tremendous wealth of information that seems of tremendous value because there's so much. But the reality is all you've done is broken it up into 5 to 10 different classes. Does that make sense? It's better than having a 20-minute video or a 30-minute video with 3 things in it. It's better to have 3 10-minute videos. Does that make sense? Because it comes across as way more valuable. People aren't looking at it and going, well, I want to look at the 30-minute video. What they're doing is they're looking at, I see Rochelle and Amory waving to each other. What people are interested in is what they can learn. Sorry, Amory, I didn't mean to embarrass you when you turned off your camera. People want value, right? They're not interested in length of time. Does that make sense? So you guys could do 10, 20 videos all on a Sunday afternoon, right? And then roll 2 a day out and say, hey, look, we're going to be doing 2 videos every single day, right? For you to work into your homeschooling program with your kids, right? So be thinking that through. So we've got Lisa, how are people dealing with liability with virtual classes? Well, I know that there's a number of insurance companies that don't cover virtual classes. I'm gonna throw this out there. What's his name? Ray Snyder is covering virtual classes. So if your insurance company is not prepared to cover them, switch insurance companies, because there's insurance companies that do cover. And it's very important that you're working with insurance companies that are actually working with you to try to keep you open than some of these insurance companies that seem to not care. That are just like, so what, right? And it's probably those same insurance companies that are not giving you pause and operations payments when you've actually paid for it for 30 years, right? So Lisa, my argument, my advice there is look for another insurance company, because they are out there. Ray Snyder Insurance specifically will cover virtual classes. I'm really sick of some of these insurance companies and how you guys have been treated by it. It's like, we've got to put pressure on them. If they want to do business with the gymnastics industry, let's help the gymnastics industry, not put roadblocks in the way. We got offer Facebook Live. Kimberly, you out of here?
Yeah, I have to hop off now. Thank you so much. So I look forward to contributing in your group. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Leah.
you.
You've been great.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Veronica, it's new insurance companies as well, and they are trying to help. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are actually being a little bit not that nice. So I would shop around. I would work with the insurance company if they're going to work with you, and if they're not, I'd work with somebody else. As simple as that. Let's use capitalism, to help ourselves. Any other questions, guys? If there's not, we'll wrap it up. But it's been good. Please make sure you come tomorrow at 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a really good one on messaging. It's based on data. On Thursday, again, we've got the algorithm and making sure we're laser targeting audiences. And on Thursday, it's about how to convert and how to, basically teach your front desk to make sure that they're doing all they can to make sure every piece of business is squeezed out of every bit of interest that you have. So with that, thank you guys. Best of luck. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.